Okay, picture this. A really noble red grape getting more and more buzz, clinging to the slopes of Mount Etna in Sicily. Nerello Mascalese.
Hmm.
It's just so tied to that volcanic place, you know.
Yeah.
If you're into unique wines, well, this one really needs to be on your list.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what we're doing today in this deep dive, isn't it? Trying to get under the skin of this grape.
Exactly.
We'll look at where it might have come from, its history there on Etna, how it gets from the vineyard into the bottle.
The smells, the tastes.
Right, the sensory side, what food works with it, and why it's suddenly getting all this attention worldwide. We're drawing on some really good sommelier analysis here.
Yeah, because the excitement is definitely real. People are starting to talk about Nerello Mascalese in the same breath as like Nebbiolo or Pinot Noir.
It's that unique elegance, I think, the complexity it can show.
And that acidity. So bright, makes you want another sip. Plus, apparently, it can age really well.
It really can. So our mission basically is to figure out what makes Nerello Mascalese tick, why it's becoming such a global favorite.
Okay, let's start right at the source then.
Hmm.
Nerello Mascalese, the name itself is interesting. Where did it actually, originate?
Well, the precise origins are a bit murky, but the strongest thinking is that it's truly Sicilian, native to the island, with its real heartland in the Etna area.
Uh-huh.
There's some talk about possible Greek links way back, but honestly, it's adapted so perfectly to Etna, to that volcanic soil, it feels like it belongs there. A true child of the volcano, you could say.
And the name itself, Nerello Mascalese,
Hmm.
it sounds so, well, Sicilian. What's the story behind that?
It really does, doesn't it? Nerello. That part likely refers to the grape's color. Dark, almost black when ripe. Nero means black in Italian.
Oh, makes sense.
And Mascanese, that points directly to the Mascali Plain, which is on the eastern side of Etna. Historically, that was a really important zone for growing it.
So the name literally ties it to its home ground.
Exactly. It anchors it right there on the volcano.
I like that. I've heard these sort of almost legends about the vines soaking up energy, minerality directly from the volcano. Is there anything to that?
Well, there's definitely that romantic idea, and it kind of fits, doesn't it? It captures that unique character you often find.
It does.
But what's absolutely clear is the deep, long-standing connection between this grape and Etna. It really did find its perfect spot on those slopes.
Why there, though? The side of an active volcano sounds a bit challenging for farming.
It seems counterintuitive, maybe, but those volcanic soils, they're actually quite poor in nutrients.
Okay.
And that forces the vine to work harder, focus its energy, which means more concentrated grapes, more flavor.
Right, less foliage, better fruit.
Exactly. Then you add the altitude. Really high up some of these vineyards.
Mm-hmm.
That means cooler overall temperatures, but also big swings between day and night temps. That difference, that diurnal shift, is gold.
Why is that so important?
It helps the grapes ripen slowly, develop complex flavors, but crucially, it locks in that amazing acidity, and it helps develop finer tannins, too. Plus, there's usually a good breeze up there, which helps keep the grapes healthy, blows away moisture.
So it was always the main red grape for Etna wines, historically.
Oh, yes. For a very long time, Nerello Mascalese was the foundation, the core of Etna's red wines, often blended, traditionally, with another local variety, Nerello Cappuccio.
What did the Cappuccio bring to the mix?
Usually a bit more color, maybe some softer fruit notes, helped round things out sometimes.
And I imagine the way it was grown and made into wine wasn't always like it is today, with this global focus.
Oh, definitely not. For centuries, it was, a local thing, grown often on these incredible terraces built into the slopes, using traditional training methods like albarello.
Albarello, what's that?
It's a little bush vine, freestanding, really well suited to the slopes and the winds. But yeah, things have changed. In the last few decades, there's been this amazing renaissance, driven by producers really focused on quality. They're finding and restoring these old vineyards, some with vines that actually predate phylloxera, which is incredible.
Wow.
And they're blending that heritage, that respect for the old ways with modern understanding, modern techniques in the winery.
That's fantastic. So it's really stepping onto the world stage now.
Absolutely. It's becoming a really important strategic grape for Sicily overall. It shows a different side of Sicilian red wine, elegant, age-worthy, complex, distinct from, say, the more powerful Nero d'Avola. It's about finesse.
Okay, so Etna is the place. Let's get deeper into that terroir.
Mhm.
What makes it so special for this grape? You mentioned the soils.
Right, the Etna DOC, it's the heartland. And the soils, wow. They're a product of thousands, millions of years of eruptions. layer upon layer of old lava, volcanic ash, sand, bits of rock. It's incredibly
Like a
complex.
geological history book under your feet.
Pretty much. And it's not uniform either. It varies hugely across the volcano, creating all these little micro terroirs, different contrade, as they call them.
Products, like little districts.
Exactly. Little zones with their own subtle differences.
Yeah.
But generally, these soils are low in organic matter, but drain incredibly well. That's key.
Okay.
And that's where a lot of that signature minerality comes from. People talk about notes of gladitine, crushed rock, graphite, sometimes even a smoky touch. The vines struggle a bit, but produce really intense mineral-laden grapes.
Intense, yeah. And the altitude, you said that was critical to it.
Hugely critical. Vineyards go from maybe 400 meters right up past 1,000 meters. That's high.
Definitely.
And that height means cooler temperatures, especially at night. That big day-night temperature swing, the diurnal range.
The natural break you mentioned.
Exactly. It slows ripening right down, lets the grapes develop all these complex aromas, keeps that acidity bright and zesty, and helps make the tannins finer, more elegant.
It's like natural, cool climate viticulture, but in Sicily?
In a way, yes. And then the climate itself. It's Mediterranean, sure. Hot, dry summers, mild winters. But Etna puts its own spin on it. The sea isn't far away, the Ionian Sea, that has an influence. And the altitude, again, modifies everything. Cooler temps higher up, sometimes even snow in winter. The big diurnal shift during ripening. And those winds, always those winds, helping keep the grapes healthy.
So Etna provides this very specific, almost unique set of conditions. What if Nerello Mascalese is grown somewhere else in Sicily? Does it taste different?
Oh, it definitely can. Outside the Etna DOC, say, around Messina or other parts of Catania, the soils are different. More clay, maybe limestone, sandy soils, less volcanic influence. Altitudes are usually lower, climate's generally warmer, drier. So the wines, they can be good, but often different. Maybe less minerality, the acidity and tannin profile might change. Fruit could taste riper. Maybe less of that real vibrant freshness you get from Etna.
So the magic really is that Etna combination.
It really seems to be. That interplay between the Mediterranean-based climate and the massive influence of altitude on Etna, that's crucial for this grape's classic expression. The volcanic soils are just fundamental for that typicity, that minerality, that structure. Other soils shape it differently, often emphasizing the fruit more.
It's a perfect match, isn't it?
Yeah.
The grape is late ripening, so it needs that long season Etna's altitude provides.
Exactly.
And Etna gives it the soil, the drainage, the climate to create something unique in return.
Precisely. The late ripening fits perfectly with the long, slow-growing season up high, allows full flavor development while holding on to that vital acidity. And the soils, the drainage, the microclimates, they all stamp the wine with that Etna signature. Minerality, acidity, elegance.
Okay, let's zoom in on the vine itself. What does Nerello Mascalese actually look like? The leaves, the grapes?
Right, the ampelography, the vine's ID card, basically. The leaves are usually medium-sized, sort of pentagonal, 5 distinct lobes, dark green on top, smooth. Underneath, they've got this sort of fine, fuzzy hairiness, especially along the veins.
Okay, got it. And the bunches?
They tend to be medium to large, usually conical or maybe pyramid-shaped. Often you'll see a little extra cluster, like a wing, attached. The berries can be packed in there quite densely sometimes.
And the berries themselves? Size, color?
Medium-sized, pretty much perfectly round. The skin isn't super thick, medium thickness, and it gets this deep, dark blue, almost black color when it's fully ripe.
Gives you a good picture. So how does this vine behave through the year on Etna? What's its growth cycle like there?
Well, bud break in spring is, medium timing. Not super early, not super late. But the key thing is it's a late ripener. It needs a long season, lots of warmth and sun overall to get fully mature, which, again, is why Etna's high-altitude sites work so well. They get that long, slow, steady ripening period.
And that slow ripening is what gives it that quality edge.
Absolutely. It lets all those complex flavors and structural components, the phenolics, develop fully while, crucially, holding on to that acidity. It loves those volcanic soils, needs the sun, but benefits from the cool nights for aroma and freshness. It's pretty drought-resistant, too, which helps in Sicily.
Any downsides? Any weaknesses?
It can be a bit susceptible to fungal diseases like mildew or oidium if conditions get damp, so canopy management is important.
Right. So managing the vineyard must require a careful hand. What are the key things growers focus on?
Pruning is number one. It's naturally quite a vigorous vine, so you need careful pruning to control the growth and, really importantly, limit the yield, keep the quality concentrated.
Thanks.
And there's the training system. That traditional albarello, the bush vine, you still see it a lot, especially on steep terraces where machines can't go. It handles wind well, protects the grapes a bit.
Uh-huh.
But you also see more modern systems like raised trained on wires guyot or cordon spur. Allows for better airflow management, maybe easier harvesting in some spots.
And dealing with those potential diseases.
Yeah, keeping things healthy is key. The wind helps a lot naturally on Etna. Many growers focus on sustainable organic practices. Good airflow through the leaves is vital, but they still have to watch out for mildew, oidium, and phylloxera, though pretty much everything is grafted onto resistant rootstocks now for phylloxera.
And getting the best possible grapes. Any specific techniques?
Oh, yeah. Things like green harvesting, going through early and cutting off some bunches to focus the vine's energy on the rest. Very selective picking at harvest, only taking perfectly ripe bunches, managing the leaf canopy for the right amount of sun and air, careful water management if needed. It's all about aiming for top quality fruit.
So a huge amount of work in the vineyard sets the stage. Then comes the winery. How do they turn these amazing grapes into wine? What's the philosophy?
Often the goal is really about preserving that elegance, that sense of place. So maceration, the time the juice spends with the skins, is handled very carefully.
Controlling temperature and how long?
Exactly. Getting enough color, tannin, and flavor, but without making it too heavy or extracted. Keeping it refined. Some might do a cold soak first, before fermentation, to gently pull out aromas.
And the fermentation itself, what kind of tanks or barrels do they use?
You see variety here. Stainless steel is common, keeps things clean, fresh, really preserves the fruit purity. Concrete tanks are popular too. They allow a bit of oxygen, gentle fermentation.
Interesting.
And wood, yes, but often used carefully. Maybe larger oak barrels or older barrels that don't impart too much oaky flavor. The idea is usually to complement the grape, not dominate it. Temperature control is vital throughout. And malolactic fermentation, that secondary fermentation that softens acidity, is pretty common too, adds complexity.
And after fermentation, the aging. Where does that happen?
Again, depends on the style they're after. Some might stay entirely in steel to keep that bright, fresh character. Concrete is used for aging, too, for that subtle oxygen interaction. If oak is used for aging, it's often those larger formats or used barrels, again, to avoid overpowering the wine. Aging times can vary a lot, too, depending on the wine and its potential.
So what are the main styles of wine we end up seeing from Nerello Mascalese?
Well, the star is usually the Etna Rosso DOC, elegant, complex reds, typically light to medium ruby color, great acidity, fine tannins, medium body.
And the aromas.
You get lovely, fresh red fruits, cherry, raspberry floral notes like rose, violet, maybe some spice, and always that distinctive mineral, earthy thing going on. And they can age beautifully, developing more complexity.
Okay, what else?
Then there are the roses, Etna Rosato, made with just a short time on skins for that pink color. They're usually crisp, dry, fruity red berries, citrus floral, really refreshing, best drunk young.
Nice.
You also find sparkling wines made using the traditional method, like champagne. They really leverage that high acidity. Fine bubbles, complex notes of fruit, maybe some brioche and minerality.
Yeah, sparkling too.
And finally, you still see it in blends, often with Nerello Cappuccio contributing its structure and aromatics.
It really sounds like the winemaker's choices, maceration, fermentation vessel, aging, are absolutely critical in defining the final wine.
Oh, completely. Every decision shapes the outcome. The winemaker, the empologist, has this crucial role of interpreting the grapes, the vintage, the terroir, and guiding it towards the desired style while respecting the identity of Nerello Mascalese.
All right, let's get to the really fun part. Now, what do these wines actually smell and taste like? Paint a picture for us.
Okay, aromas. Nerello Mascalese can be incredibly aromatic. You often start with bright, fresh red fruits, think cherries, raspberries, really vibrant. Then as you smell it more, you might pick up delicate flowers like roses or violets, subtle spice notes too, maybe black pepper, a hint of clove.
And that minerality we keep talking about.
Oh yes, it's usually there. That sense of wet stones, crushed rocks, maybe volcanic ash, sometimes even a salty tang. And often some earthy undertones too. Very. And what's fascinating is how it evolves with age. Those primary fruit notes can mellow and you start getting tertiary characters, maybe leather, tobacco, dried fruits, licorice.
Sounds incredible.
Yeah.
And on the palate, what does it feel like to drink?
Typically they're dry. That acidity is key. Really bright, vibrant, makes your mouth water. The tannins are usually present, but fine, silky, not aggressive, gives it a smooth texture.
Fine.
Generally light to medium bodied. It's not a heavy wine, which lets all those flavors shine through. You often taste what you smell, the red fruits, the floral notes, the spice, and that minerality usually carries through to a long, clean finish.
So you can really taste the place, the winemaking all coming together.
Exactly. The volcanic soil, the altitude, the climate, they build that mineral backbone, the acidity, the elegance, and then the winemaking choices refine it, shape the fruit expression, the texture.
Can you give us a quick sensory snapshot of the different styles again?
Hmm.
Like what to expect specifically from an Etna Rosso versus a Rosato?
Sure. Etna Rosso. Look for that clear ruby color. Smell intense, fresh red fruit, flowers, spice, definite minerality, taste. Dry, vibrant acidity, fine tannins, medium body, long mineral finish.
Okay, this is Rosato.
Etna Rosato, bright pale pink. Smell fresh strawberries, cherries, maybe citrus, floral hints, taste. Dry, crisp, refreshing acidity, light to medium body, fruity, clean finish.
And the sparkling.
Sparkling, lively bubbles, fine and persistent. Smell red fruits, maybe some yeasty notes, that underlying minerality. Taste. Dry, fresh, elegant structure, crisp.
That's super helpful. Gives us a real target for tasting. Now, the all-important question, food. What pairs well with Nerello Mascalese? It sounds pretty versatile.
It really is remarkably food-friendly. That acidity, the elegant tannins, the minerality, they just work with so many different kinds of dishes.
Let's start local. How does it go with Sicilian food?
Oh, it's a natural fit. Think about classic pasta alla norma. With eggplant and ricotta salata, the acidity cuts through the richness beautifully. It's great with grilled meats too, like lamb or pork from the Nebrodi Mountains, earthy mushroom dishes, aged Sicilian cheeses like pecorino. Fantastic pairings.
And what about looking more broadly across Mediterranean cuisine?
It works really well there, too. It can handle richer fish like grilled tuna or sardines, loves grilled vegetables. And those aromatic herbs you find everywhere in Mediterranean cooking, oregano, thyme, rosemary, they echo nicely with the wine's own aromatics.
Okay, let's get specific. Someone opens an Etna Rosso.
Mm.
What should be on the table?
Etna Rosso. Rich pasta dishes, definitely, like a lamb ragu, mushroom risotto, especially with porcini, grilled lamb chops, roast pork, eggplant caponata, aged sheep cheeses, lots of good options.
And if it's an Etna Rosato, what's
Yeah.
the vibe there?
Rosato is perfect for lighter fare. Think appetizers, bruschetta, olives, maybe some cured meats, fresh salads, delicate fish like grilled sole, or even something like ceviche. It can also handle some lighter Asian dishes like sushi or sashimi. Very versatile for starters and later mains.
And the sparkling Nerello Mascalese, what's its moment?
Oh, that's great for celebrations, aperitifs.
This is-
Perfect with oysters, canapes. Excellent with seafood, generally grilled shrimp, scallops, lobster. Or simply prepared whitefish, grilled or baked.
Any final tips for creating a really great food and wine match with these wines?
Yeah, a few things. Serve it at the right temperature, maybe slightly cooler for the Rosso than you might think, like 16, 18 Celsius. Even cooler for Rosato and sparkling, obviously. Use decent glasses.
Makes a difference.
It really does. If you're having multiple courses, think about the wine order. Light to fuller. Don't be afraid to try those regional pairings, food and wine that grew up together often. Just click and, tell the story. Talk about the wine, where it's from, the volcano. It adds to the enjoyment.
Absolutely. So we know where it grows best, what it tastes like, what to eat with it. Where does Nerello Mascalese stand in the wider wine world right now? Are there key regions or producers we should look out for?
Well, the Etna DOC is really ground zero. That's the most important place. And the rules there require a high percentage of Nerello Mascalese in the reds and rosés.
It grows elsewhere, though.
It does in other parts of Sicily and tiny bits elsewhere, but really, Etna is where it shines brightest and where most of the focus is.
And who are the producers really driving its reputation, the names to know?
Oh, there are quite a few now doing fantastic work. Pioneers and newer stars. Names like Tenuta del Terronere, Benanti, who are really early champions, Passo Pisiaro, Tasca del Merita's Tascante project on Etna.
Okay.
Also, Cotanera, Donna Fugata has Etna wines. Frank Cornelison doing his natural wine thing. Pietrodolce, Gracci. A lot of great names.
And many of them focus on specific vineyard sites. Those can trade.
Yes, exactly. That's a big trend. Bottling wines from individual contrade to show off the subtle differences in terroir across the volcano, different slopes, altitudes, soil nuances. It's fascinating. Like Burgundy, but on a volcano.
Cool comparison. And is it getting easier to find these wines outside Italy?
Definitely. The market is growing. Etna wines have gained a lot of international respect, and people are seeking out Nerello Mascalese specifically for its elegance, complexity, that volcanic signature. You're seeing them much more in good wine shops and on restaurant lists globally.
Looking forward then, what does the future hold? What are the main challenges and the big opportunities for Nerello Mascalese?
Well, challenges. Climate change is a big one, obviously. How will rising temperatures affect ripening and that crucial acidity? Managing those steep vineyards is always hard work. Competition in the fine wine market is fierce. And just getting the message out, explaining what makes it special, beyond just Etna sometimes. But the opportunities are huge. It has such a unique profile. It ages well. People are increasingly interested in volcanic wines. Quality Italian wine is appreciated globally. And wine tourism on Etna has massive potential. So lots of positives.
So wrapping this up, it really feels like Nerello Mascalese is more than just another grape. It's got a real story, a real connection to place.
Absolutely. It's a significant player now in Sicily and internationally. That history, that bond with Etna's volcanic terroir, the way it thrives at altitude, the elegant wines it produces, it's
Hmm.
a special combination.
And it feels like it's still evolving, still finding new expressions.
Exactly. That balance between respecting tradition and embracing thoughtful innovation in the vineyard and winery, that's going to be key for its future. It's not standing still.
So Nerello Mascalese really is a treasure for Sicily, for the wine world,
Yeah.
worth appreciating for the history, the unique place it comes from, and the fantastic wines themselves.
Totally agree. It captures that volcanic soul of Etna so well. If you haven't explored Nerello Mascalese yet, I really encourage you to seek out a bottle. You might just find a new favorite.